The Frames Per Second podcast.
Yo, what's good, everybody? This is Rob here, back with another Frames Per Second review. This one is one that you guys requested, and I guess we put it out there that we wanted to just kind of give back before the year ends as kind of like a Christmas gift to you guys to see if there's any movies that you guys wanted us to review. And I know we did Wild Robot, and what was the first one we did?
The Substance.
We did Substance, Wild Robot, and now we're doing the other one that you guys showed. So we picked out the top 3 from the list that y'all put out there, and we're doing Anora. I am not here by myself. I'm here with Kenneth B. Inge. What's good, bro?
Present. What up?
And Mike C. Town. What's going on?
Yo.
Spike is not here today. I can't remember if he had saw this or he was going to see it. I know Spike is kind of busy. I apologize that Spike isn't here for this review, but nonetheless, we got the 3 Negroes here to review it for you guys. But yeah, man, this was so what we're doing is Anora. I actually saw this when it first came out. I seen it on a preview. I can't remember what I was watching, and I thought it looked interesting. I was like, I wouldn't mind going to see that. I'm a A+ Stubs member, so I was like, that would be one that I wouldn't mind to go see. But the thing is that it wasn't playing at a lot of theaters. Even here in Georgia, and Georgia's pretty big. Like a lot of stuff comes here, or Atlanta per se. But yeah, it was still hard to find. But yeah, one night I was able to find it, and yeah, next thing I know, it was gone. I was like, damn. So glad I was able to find it when I did. But yeah, man, Anora is a 2024 American comedy drama film written, directed, and edited by Sean Baker. Kind of similar to one of the other guys we know. What's his name, Mike?
I don't know.
He did
anybody that edits
X. He did X.
Ty what's his face?
I can't remember his name. What's his name?
I don't think he edits, does he?
Yeah, he does all of it.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if he did it for all 3, but he does. West. And I thought that what's his name?
Ty West. Isn't it Ty West?
Ty West. I think it's Ty West. That sounds familiar. Let me double check that. But I want to say he does it all. I'm gonna double check that. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, written, directed, produced, and edited by Ty West. He did that for the X film. I remember seeing that. And I don't know if he did it for the other ones, but he definitely did it for X. So yeah, I thought that was dope. And the movie stars Mickey Madison, Mark, I cannot say that last name, and Yura is another guy that's prevalent in the movie. But it follows a marriage between Anora and a young sex worker, and Vanya, which is Mark, the son of a Russian, pretty much like a Russian, like boss type dude. I want to say he's influential in politics and things like that, like kind of funds that type of stuff. So he's very prevalent in Russia and wealthy in Russia. The thing I thought was, have y'all ever seen, do y'all know anything about Sean Baker?
I don't.
Yeah, I've seen his other films. Yeah, I've seen Tangerine. I've seen The Florida Project. I haven't seen Red Rocket yet. I keep forgetting to watch it. But I like it.
Mm-hmm. I never went and saw Tangerine. That's about the trans sex workers too, in that one, right? And and they shot that all on the iPhone, all on iPhones, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought that was really dope. I remember when that came out and people were saying that he shot that on that. And I watched the Florida Project, which I liked a lot. Have you ever seen the Florida Project, Ken? About a young girl in Florida, like living basically out
of his way to watch nothing like that, and he wouldn't.
It's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. So yeah, I caught it one night. It was like on Netflix or something. I was like, oh, this look interesting. Let me watch it. But yeah, it was good. But so yeah, I like his style of shooting. So I'll just start off, man. I thought this was really good. Like it gave me it gave me cut gym vibes. Just kind of like a realistic approach to a topic or a subject, and it's not much like depth to it. It's just a real take on following someone's journey or whatnot. So I like films like that. So this one definitely accomplished that very well, in my opinion, the way it's shot, everything. So I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it caught me kind of by surprise. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, but I actually ended up enjoying it. Ken, how did you feel about it? I know you just finished watching it. How did you feel?
I enjoyed it when it was over, but I'm not gonna lie. That first part of the movie, I was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, this is just no.
It's a lot.
But yeah, but once the mess kicked in, I was like, oh, this shit is so wild as hell. So
shit, it was messed
I ended up.
Go ahead though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but it jumped into the love stuff, and I'm like, that's what we're gonna do the whole movie. But we did not, thank God. And once we took off and went on that ride with them, it was I definitely enjoyed the second and third acts much more than the first one. So I walked through, it was like, you know what, that's not that bad. I actually enjoyed it.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, maybe you should watch the Florida Project then. Definitely. All right, Mike, how you feeling about it, man? Were you ready to leave when it was over too, or did you?
I was ready to leave about 40 minutes in. I don't think this is a bad film by any means, but Ken liking this one tells me he probably would not like the Florida Project, because this is not a huge departure, but it's a departure from his style of filmmaking. And I don't particularly care for that departure. I liked the first third of this, but once Vanya went running out of the house, I completely lost interest and I wanted it to be over.
Oh, wow. We're the opposite. Interesting.
Yes, we are the exact opposite, because this is not his style. Like, usually he does those day in the life, very realistic depictions of, what people might see as like lower class, like sex workers. This is the first time I've seen him try to make a fucking comedy. Like, this was very plot driven. His movies aren't typically like that. He's almost like Harmony Korine in that here's just a day, a weird ass day of, a realistic weird ass day. Whereas this one was like, oh man, this is wacky. Here's this wacky thing that happens. Oh man, here's some more wacky shit all around this wacky girl that happens to be a wacky sex worker. And it's like, all right, dude, like it's not bad. Everyone acted their asses off. It was cool, but shave about 47 and a half minutes off of this and I might feel different.
Interesting. I was trying to, as you were talking, I was trying to figure out the departure, and then you kind of touched on it a little bit, because I still feel like it was a day, like, a week or however long this is in the life of this person. But I can see what you're saying, that, they added a lot more elements that don't seem, I guess, as realistic as some of the other stuff. It's kind of a little over the top, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, his movies are typically, at least the two that I've seen. Again, I have not seen Red Rocket, but I'm going to watch it. Yeah. His movies are more like, here's a character and we're exploring the character. Whereas I didn't get that much with this film. I got, here's a character that's put into a very weird situation and we're going to explore that situation. Meanwhile, we're going to give you very small glimpses into the character, which is a fine method to take for a film. I think it was just too much leaning on the wacky comedy element, because that's not my thing. I like that he humanizes sex workers. I like that he humanizes poor people. I like that he humanizes the downtrodden. I'm not really interested in like all this pseudo funny shit.
Yeah, I guess I didn't find it as well. It was funny moments, but it don't seem like it was very intentional, but we'll get into that part. Okay, so let's get into it. So Anora, which goes by Annie in the movie, is 23-year-old stripper living in Brighton Beach, a Russian American neighborhood in Brooklyn. How do y'all feeling about the lead actress in this? I've never seen her in anything else that I believe. So how are you guys feeling about her?
I haven't. I had to look her up just to make sure I didn't recognize her from anything, and I hadn't. So I thought she was fine. You know, seeing her go throughout this whole movie. Yeah, so I thought she was okay. I thought she was cool.
Yeah, I thought she was cool too. I liked. I feel like she was kind of charming as a character. Like I immediately like, oh yeah, she's interesting. You know what I'm saying? With the heavy accent, just a real kind of free spirited person. Like I got that immediately from her. What about you, Mike?
I liked her. Her name's actually Mikey. You called her Mickey earlier, and the only reason I know that is because I found it really interesting that it was a woman named Mikey. I don't think I've ever run into that before. Yeah, she was good. She was throwing me off a little bit with her accent. Until I thought about it, like, yeah, you know, New Yorker accents are always there, but they really come out when they're mad. They're like Caribbeans in that way. You know? So no, she's really good. I've only seen her she was in one of the Scream movies, but I looked her up and she was also in that Hollywood Tarantino movie. I forget what it's called.
Oh, she was in that?
Escape from Hollywood, whatever the fuck it is. She was in that, but she's got a future. She plays the role very well. Let's say that.
No, for sure.
I don't know if she's an actual stripper or not, but this was, and I don't mean this to sound weird or anything, but like as someone that's been to strip clubs, we live in Atlanta. This was one of the most realistic depictions of a stripper I've seen. A lot of times these movies, they overdo it and they make the strippers just seem like just kind of silly. And for some reason, when I was watching this, I was like, that looks like I'm at an Atlanta strip club. Not like Onyx or something, but you know, like one of the white.
Well, I was about to say. Like, oh no, right.
Like one of the really like trashy white ones. That's what it like pinups. This is like I don't know if y'all have been to pinups, but this is like pinups. That's the one on the Asian market. Ken's been there. He don't want to say nothing, but
never heard of it.
You a lot.
Oh man, I liked it. I liked her though. She, I was like, okay, it's cool. And another thing I noticed off top was just like the lighting and everything. They did a really good job with that as well. But yeah, like soon enough though, like she's in there just kind of working the rooms, working the guys, and it just really made you feel like, dang man, they really be making these guys feel like it's just about them. I just thought they did a good job at depicting that. In this film without, like you said, Mike, without like overdoing it. And just kind of seeing how all the other, you know, sex workers or strippers are, you know, interact with one another. I think they did a good job with that too. So yeah, real realistic look at how that is. And she was just very comfortable too, very comfortable in that position. So little bit after that, her boss introduces her to Ivan, which is Vanya. The 21-year-old son of the wealthy Russian. And the Russian name is Nikolai, I think it is. Nikolai. And Vanya is basically in the United States to study, but prefers to party and play video games in his family's Brooklyn mansion. How did you guys feel about Vanya when you first saw him?
I thought that I didn't know if he was playing around with whether or not he really knew English or Russian or whatnot initially. I also didn't know if he was going to be like the main person for her until, it started going on. Like he started appearing more and more. When he first popped up on scene, I thought it was just another one of her jobs because, as you had mentioned earlier, they were just kind of working the room. It would be this person, that person, and she was kind of telling stories of her encounters or with them or ones that he's heard. But I think he was definitely interesting throughout the movie, and he definitely gave across like very. He depicted the role well in terms of what they labeled him as, as the movie went on. Just very, he was the son of a rich kid, of a rich dad, and he displayed all those tendencies.
Nah, for sure. How you feel about him, Mike?
He was fine. I think at the end of the show or the end of the movie, he didn't end up being nearly as interesting as I thought he was going to be. I thought there was something a lot more nefarious going on. And
yes, I do too.
Oh, no, I'm just like a rich Russian kid who just uses people. It's like, all right, well, cool.
Okay, I thought it was just me. I was like, why does it feel like something else is up with him? Like, I don't know if it was like the soundscape or whatever. I don't know. He was just, like you said, he was just very like mysterious. Like, I didn't know if he was going to be kind of like, have some like rape qualities about him or whatever. I didn't know. Like it was really weird. I got really weird vibes from him.
I never got rape vibes. I got that he was going to end up being some kind of like physical abuser or something, which is kind of similar, I guess. But
same thing is similar.
I never got that he was going to like rape her. But I the whole time I'm watching it, I was like, okay, at some point he's going to bug out. And he's going to like choke her or he's going to beat her up or something. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that because that would have just fed into my expectations. But at the same time, at the end of the movie, I just didn't really think he was that interesting of a character.
No, I agree. They could have. I feel like they should have did a little bit more with him. And I guess we'll just kind of get to that. But he's introduced to her, and he brings her to the mansion, and they having crazy sex. Crazy, like just you can tell he a young man. he was definitely a young man the way he was going at her or whatever. But yeah, so then he eventually hires her just for sexual encounters, and he wants to pay her $15,000 to stay with him for a week. How did y'all feel about this? I guess just once he gave her the proposition. Ken, did you have those same type of vibes that maybe he was up to something else? Like, was there something deeper to it? Like, how did you feel about it?
Nah, I didn't get that from him. I really felt it more from the parents when they kind of came on scene with how everybody reacted to that more than him, especially given his reaction to everything, which we'll get to. But this proposition to pay her for a week, first, he clearly has like disposable income, like party income. I guess like there is an amount because I think he said I would have done it for less than 30 or something like that. But it was a hell of a proposition, and I remember when they had the party. You can kind of hear his friends or people in the party just kind of talking about him on the side. I was like, yo, that's that sex worker or whatever they call her. I don't think they use that word, but that he's paying for it. So that kind of you can kind of almost get the sense that he's a bit of a buffoon. Initially early on, it seemed like somebody that could easily fall for somebody, and a little, like you said, wet behind the ears. But yeah, that's kind of what I was picking up from him, that she was playing him for a sucker.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then she was playing him for a sucker, but then she kind of goes like real deep into this situation because he asks her, he flies her and his entourage, like his friends, where you're just talking about, to Vegas, where Vanya asks Annie to marry him. So that he can attain like a green card instead of returning to Russia to work for his father. In this moment, she is skeptical, but Vanya insists his love is genuine, and they elope in Vegas at a wedding chapel. Anything stood out to you on this Vegas escapade, and what did y'all think about her just kind of putting all her chips in to marry this guy?
Putting her tits in what?
Chips. Just kind of putting all her chips in. Like she quit her. She already did that, Mike. She already did.
I was like, what?
She already put her tits in. Like she, but nah, just putting all her chips because she left the job. She was like buying bitches and all that. Like, you know, they was hating on her too.
Especially that white one.
Yeah, she was super hating on her. But how did y'all feel about when we was going? Like, anything stood out to you about this Vegas thing and just him and them actually eloping? Like, it kind of moved kind of fast. How did y'all feel about that?
It started to lose me here because I was just like, all right. Because I never got that this dude was a punk or like a sucker. I never got that she was getting over on him.
Yeah.
I never believed him at any point. So even when he was like, oh, I'll give you $15,000 to be my girlfriend for a week. I was like, oh, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And then when he did I should just marry somebody that's here so I can stay in the States. Maybe I'll marry your friend or I'll marry you. I was like, all right, what is happening here? And then I was also not getting the impression that she was trying to fuck him over. I was just like, wait, are we seriously supposed to believe that he's fallen for her? And honestly, I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure what we're supposed to take from that because it just didn't make any sense. So when he proposed and she was like, stop fucking around. And then she's like, okay. I was like, all right, cool. She's going to get him. She's going to take his money. She's going to bounce. And that's going to be the movie. But that didn't happen. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like she thought that he actually was into her and like he was going to be her meal ticket because he was into her, and then she could probably learn to be more to him. Obviously, I think she was looking for, a way out of poverty or whatever. But I think she was like, oh, I can make this work. You know what I'm saying? Did you get those kind of vibes, Ken?
Definitely meal ticket, vibes for him because she was good. Because I'm with you, Mike. Because I was like, there's no way like he really loves her or falling for her that fast. Not like that because they didn't really show that or display that he was just madly in love with her. It seemed very like,
transactional.
Transactional, spur of the moment sort of thing that they were just having a conversation, in the bed, cuddle up. His guard is down because they probably just finished and he's just enjoying the moment. He's had a great week. So he's like, all right, fuck it. He was just playing around and it turned into something serious. So he's like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll do it. And they did it. But it felt like for me, from her, I'm with you. It's like, oh, this is my way out. So he's making a joke about marrying my friend. But shit, I'm right here. Why are you even playing around like that? Like, marry me. And then she was like, oh, are you serious? Don't be fucking around. And then they just went and got married. This part, Mike, I'm like, you got out of it. At this point, I'm not even in the movie. I'm like, this shit right here is just like, oh my God, we're just gonna deal with the love story. So yeah, I was just like, and I was like, man, we got a long way to go.
See, the thing about it is, like, I understand completely why someone like her would want to get out of the lifestyle, and she would see someone like him and be like, fuck, I'm good now. I can bounce. I don't have to do this anymore. I think that they should have given us a little bit for a fucking 2.5 hour long movie. They should have made this kind of transactional relationship go on a little bit longer. So I would have bought why she would buy that he's falling for her, because they made it seem like they'd only been hanging out for like a couple of weeks, if that, like like a week and a half, whatever. So I think if they had made it seem like, oh, they've actually been hanging out for a month or two, and she has, being someone that's young, that's in the sex worker life, that doesn't seem like she wants to be there. I could see why it would be heartbreaking when she realizes that, no, he didn't really love you like that. He was just using you. So I don't know, but I also kind of get why they only went with the short period thing to kind of drive home the point that she was easily attached to someone that showed her any kind of love or any kind of feelings that she thought were real. So I don't know. But nah, that whole part, I was just like, I think I'm already tapping out.
I didn't need to be drawn out because I always took it like she had something that he wanted and he had something she wanted. So obviously he wanted a green card so he wouldn't have to, go back to Russia and stuff like that when basically take over his family business. And she obviously wanted, a way out or whatever. So I didn't need to. I kind of got that immediately. So I was just trying to see how this was all going to crumble and fall apart because I knew it was going to have to crumble and fall apart because it happened so fast. Which is why they took the route of them eloping or whatever. Usually, like when people, obviously when people do, fall in love so quickly or whatever, they elope because they didn't have to give it time to resonate, talk to family about it or anything like that. So it made sense to me why it happened so fast and then they eloped or whatever because they both had something that they both really, really wanted. So it made sense to me.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like for me to buy that she believed him, I needed this to be a little bit longer because I don't understand why she would. It's not about her wanting something from him and him wanting something. That part is very obvious, but it seemed I didn't even get this until they went looking for him. Then it seemed like she actually thought that he liked her like that.
Yeah, she was a bit
skeptical. That threw me off. I was like, wait. Especially like if she was like a regular ass hood chick, I'd be like, all right, I get it. You want to get out of the hood. You fell for the first guy that came and tried to help you. But as someone who operates with men almost purely transactional, it just seemed a bit odd that she believed him that easily.
But she was skeptical at first. Yeah, she was skeptical
at first, but very quickly she was like, I thought, you were lying to me. And I was like, yes. Are you serious? Of course he was lying to you. When they got to the airport, she was like, what the fuck? And he was like, yeah, like this was some bullshit. I was like, wait, she believed him? And that's when I was like, okay, I'm really lost with this movie.
I thought that happened a little later, but okay.
It did. Yeah, when she revealed it was after they were looking for him. But she was giving like little hints throughout that search for him that she actually thought he cared. And when she confirmed it at the airport, I was just like, all right, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well,
I just took this.
They spent. Yeah, the wedding was very, spontaneous, but they kind of tried to do it a little bit, Mike, where they showed them spending time together. He's playing video games and she's all huddled up on him. So it was almost like they were trying to accelerate it a little bit more to where you could start that she's kind of starting to kind of fall for him a little bit. Because I'm with you. I was surprised that she cared as much. I do have some thoughts on maybe why. But because I was like, wait, why are you so gung-ho about what's going on right now? So...
I mean, I think we can determine why, because I mean, they intentionally didn't mention her father. She mentions her mom, but she doesn't really say anything about her dad. So we can automatically assume that she has some sort of issues with men. She views men 99.9% transactionally. We get that. I don't know. I don't want to keep harping on it, but yeah,
I got you.
He didn't give me enough to make me think, oh yeah, I see why she believes him.
Got you. Okay. All right, so when the news of the wedding spreads to Russia, Vanya's mother, Galina, I think is her name, orders his godfather, Toros, to find the couple and arrange an annulment while the family flies to the U.S. So Mama, she wasn't having it. She was like, nah, end this shit now. You crazy? That's my baby. I'll give a damn. So Toro, he's furious or whatever. And so he sends his henchmen, Nick and Igor, to the house. And they inform Vanya that his parents will take him back to Russia and enrage Ani by calling her a prostitute. So yeah, he was showing at this moment, Mike, that like, yo, don't call her a prostitute. You know what I'm saying? Like she's my wife, basically. So like, how do y'all feel about this whole thing? Him calling the mom finding it out, the godfather coming into the fold, and then the henchman. Did y'all find any of these characters intriguing, or did they add to the story? How did y'all feel about this part?
I think the two henchmen, Igor and eventually the other guy, but more so when they kind of started to get into the fight, they kind of goofed him up for the rest of the movie with the drugs.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so he kind of fell back a little bit, and that was probably intentional to drive a little bit more focus on Igor. But yeah, there, kind of what she said towards the end, like he gave off very creep vibes, trying to hit on her when he gets there, and she reminded him like, yo, that's my husband. His awkward stare at her when he walked in. Toros made me wonder what was up with the parents and why he was so afraid of them. And that's what I was really looking for when I was looking at Vanya's face. Like, how is he going to react when he found out that the parents are on the way, and what would be his response? Because you're right, Rod, like he spent a lot of time when they came over really defending her and defending his marriage and everything that was going on, that whole situation. So it made it really appear that he was all in. So until she didn't go with him.
Right. So I see your face, Mike. So you're still not buying that this whole exchange or marriage or whatnot?
Not at all. I definitely saw that scene very differently than y'all did. At no point did I think he was really sticking up for her. And at no point did I think he actually gave a shit about it. It just seemed like he was putting on like this show because he didn't want to go back to Russia, and he didn't want his parents to come there. But at no moment throughout that entire interaction was I ever like, oh, he really cares about her. He's sticking up for his woman. Nah. So that's why this part was still interesting, because I was like, what is he up to? What is his thing? And then when you're talking about the parents, I'm like, shit, what are the parents up to? Like, are they going to show up? And like when y'all were talking about the Clintons, how they just kill people, I was like, are they just going to show up and just fucking whack everybody? Like, what is happening? But when it was just like, oh, now it's this fucking slapstick routine where it's Anora versus two versions of Jack Tripper, I'm like, I think I'm straight. Like, this is kind of getting, this. I don't know. I think Sean Baker, I think is his name, doing this type of comedy was just really confusing to me, because I don't find this kind of comedy very funny.
See, I didn't take it as like a just a straight slapstick comedy type of situation. I mean, it was kind of funny, and I was like, oh shit, like when she was like basically tearing up the fucking house trying to fight off these henchmen. I think it was intended to be funny, but not like a ha ha ha, oh my god, I'm busting out laughing, and it's more like a shock value.
Nah, I disagree 100%. When Toros walks in, he's like, "Why do you have her tied up? Why are you holding her on your lap?" And then the other guy's in the back, and he's like, "Man, stop, bro. Be careful, bro. If you let her go, she's gonna beat you up, bro." That was absolutely supposed to be funny. It wasn't supposed to be
kicked her in the nose.
This is hilarious. Like, yeah.
Not a full out comedy, but I did laugh out loud.
Yeah, not a full on comedy, right?
At certain moments, like, and it was just it was very kind of almost deadpan, like the timing, like whenever he would be like no, but the timing of it would make it funny to me, and There was another scene, like when he ran off. That shit was funny to me.
That was funny, actually. That was funny as hell, because I didn't expect that shit at all.
I didn't expect it either, bro. I didn't expect it either. That really threw me off.
Oh, and when she was screaming and doing all the screaming, and then they went to being silent. So, those were like moments. That's not a laugh out loud moment, at least for me it wasn't. But I see, what they were doing from a comedic perspective there.
Yeah, her beating up the two henchmen, and then when she kicked the dude in the nose and knocked him on the table, and he shattered the table. And then he's like, "Oh, you broke my nose." She's like, "Yeah, I broke your nose. Yeah, I broke your nose, motherfucker." It was definitely supposed to be like, "Oh, this is hilarious. This little girl is beating everybody up." But
I think I was more like, "Oh shit!" Like I wasn't like laugh out loud. It was just like, "Oh shit!" Because it came out of nowhere that she was like fucking them up. Like it was two henchmen, so I wasn't expecting that at all. So for me, it was more shocking than just funny.
Because it shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been able to beat them up.
That's why it's funny. That's why it's supposed to be funny. Because, strippers can fight because they have to.
Yeah.
But I think a movie where it's showing a teeny weeny little stripper, I don't like to call her a stripper, but a teeny weeny little woman beating the shit out of two supposed henchmen, it's supposed to be funny. Like they never gave any like dramatic moment where it was like, oh my God, is she in danger? This is when I realized this is supposed to be a comedy, because I was like, all right, this is getting stupid, because this isn't even close to realistic. Like this would not happen. So that's why when I knew, I was like, oh, this is a comedy. All right, cool. I see where.
And that's why I kind of said it felt like Uncut Gems, because it's Adam Sandler. Like I didn't think it was supposed to be overly funny, but it still was funny moments because Adam Sandler. But it still was like, oh shit moments. So it felt very like that to me. But anyway, so like y'all said, Vanya flees. And she fights with the henchmen. Like I said, they're destroying everything. And then Toro arrives and he kind of lectures her about Vanya's, like him being immature and things like that. Just kind of like, look, he doesn't love you for real. I mean, and he gave like a story of him doing something else. I was like, oh, okay, so shit, damn, I guess he really didn't care. So it kind of confused me, because like we were talking about Ken, he made it seem like he was caring for her, but yeah, Toro came in and quickly kind of shut that down. But she was still in denial. She was just like, nah, he fucking loves me. But I feel like she was also trying to convince her too that, he actually loves her. So he actually confiscates the wedding ring and has her gagged, and he offers her $10,000 to accept an annulment. And Annie insists that she and Vanya are in love, like I said, but he agrees to help. But agrees to help Toros find him. So how did y'all feel when Toros actually arrived and he was saying all this stuff about Vanya kind of being immature and he just really playing you? He doesn't really love you, and she was just kind of in denial of that. I guess how did y'all feel about that part?
It definitely confirmed and why he ran off like that, and I do agree. She was definitely in denial. Because it should have been fairly obvious. This man left you, you're his wife, with 3 strange men while the mom is on the way. And I wonder throughout the movie, because this whole part kind of played on for a while, I'm like, why is she so adamant that Vanya loves her? And she didn't want to let any of that stuff go. And that was the thing. Like she quote unquote made it. And she had to try to convince herself that all of it was real, because it was basically being stripped away from her. And she didn't want to face the truth and the reality of the situation for what it was. And she probably for a while felt that. But yeah, she just, throughout the whole movie, was just like, no, he loves me. Like you gotta fight for me. And not once did he ever, but she never really will let it go. So yeah, it was that's what I was kind of thinking, because he dipped. Like we couldn't even find him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Go ahead.
No. I didn't get your thoughts on it. What did you feel about it?
So if I force myself to just ignore the fact that this is moving a bit quicker than I would typically understand, if I ignore that part, I can understand why someone like Anora would fall for this, because she clearly has issues with intimacy. She probably doesn't even understand what real intimacy is. Right. So to someone like her, this probably does seem real. But it's also, I don't know if this is intentional, but it also seemed like a statement on the whole idea of lame ass dudes who go to strip clubs and they do think that the stripper is all about them. And now that shit has been flipped. You know, she's probably used to kind of playing on the insecurities of men that go into the strip club and they want to pretend that, oh, this is my girlfriend for the next 3 songs, you know, even though I just paid her, this is still, you know. So for her to like, you know, fall for that same dynamic with this guy I think was actually pretty interesting.
Right.
And Toro's coming in and, you know, again, ignoring his little comedic delivery of this lecture. This part was interesting because I was like, I want to see what's going on with these parents. This whole time I was thinking the parents are going to show up and kill everybody. So this is when I was okay. I was like, I'm back in. He ran off. What's happening? Why is he so scared? Or at least I thought he was scared. It turns out he just ran away because he's a little bitch. But I thought he was running because he was scared of the parents.
I did too. And you know, Toro's shattered her whole world. And he came in, and at the time I didn't get this until really later, but he spent a lot of time playing video games. And Toro's came in and was like, this is what he does. Like everything's a game to him. You know, and to your point about falling in love and this is my girlfriend, like even that whole situation, you know, was confirmed later to be a game to him also. But she didn't want to believe it. She was like, no, even when he was like, I've been dealing with this shit since I was 6. But she's been around him for maybe a month and thought she knew him better than the guy that practically raised him. So it was interesting. And I'm with you. Like at this moment, I thought this moment is where the movie started to turn, because I'm like, what the hell is up with the parents? Because I thought the same thing, that he ran off because he was afraid of his parents and what they were going to do when they arrived.
Right.
She just convinced herself that he loved her. And again, that would make sense that someone like her would do that. She convinced herself because she's like, this is my way out of this shitty ass situation that I'm in, living with my sister, having to work at this club. This is my way out. So I got why she had convinced herself that this was right. I guess I just didn't understand how it happened that fast and why it stayed so long, why it took so long for her to come to the realization that this dude was full of shit.
I never even know.
Would be enough, right? You would think him bouncing would be like, oh, okay, well, I guess he doesn't give a fuck.
That's a lot.
I think she wanted to believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was just the money, that would be different. I would be with you. If it was just the money, if she made it seem like it was just the money, I'd be like, this movie completely makes sense. But I don't think.
But I like your take though. I didn't think about it like that, about like how the roles are kind of reversed, about like how she's kind of not necessarily manipulating men, because I mean they know what they're getting themselves into, but she kind of knew what she was getting herself into to a certain degree as well, because she knew that he wanted a green card. So I like the idea that you threw out there, that now it's in a situation where he's really making her believe like, nah, I'm really in love with you, I want to marry you, where she, like you said, makes guys believe like, oh, I love you, and I probably would marry you, just giving guys this fantasy. Vanya pretty much did the same thing to her, and said, I think because she lives that lifestyle so much that she easily fell for that. So I think he probably was trying to go for that, Mike. Now that you brought that to the table, and I personally like that idea. But anyway, so Yeah, another thing too, she was calling him. He wasn't picking up. So yeah, they were really driving home like, nah, he really out. Like he really didn't care. He cared more about his parents finding out or whatever than her and what's going on with her. He didn't know what was going on there. They could have killed her for all he knows. He didn't care. He was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was crazy. So I think once she called him and he didn't pick up, I think it started kind of setting in like, God damn, maybe he doesn't love and care about me or whatever. But yeah, I think she's still in denial. But anyway, so they all get together and they spend the night driving around Brooklyn looking for Vanya, who is on a bender. I don't know what that means. Y'all know what that means on a bender? The fuck that mean? You know what that means?
Are you serious? You're so innocent. So Jesus Christ.
What's a bender?
A bender is basically like where you just go out and you just like drink and keep drinking. Oh. You never heard that?
I never heard that.
That's hilarious.
Never heard that, dog. I'm not about that life, obviously.
I see. That's
but yeah. So yeah, Ani catches Vanya drunk with a stripper, which is crazy, at a workplace. How y'all feeling about this whole thing? I can think of a few things happened in this moment, but I hadn't seen the movie in a minute. Ken, I know you just saw it. How did you feel about this moment when they were out and about? Because he did some crazy stuff. Like somebody tried to tow the vehicle, nigga pulled it off the rig. I remember it. I just don't remember everything that happened in this moment. So what's your take on that, on this moment of the movie?
This was when it really jumped into full on comedy mode. With some of the things that were happening. They spent time really putting the emphasis on Igor and how he's always just looking at her and staring at her and making sure she's okay. And they were cold and walking on the beach. He offered her a scarf and she was like, why did you bring that with you? Kind of making it seem like he was a creeper, which she believed that he was. There was the scene when he went to the candy shop and the guy from behind there were trying to protect Vanya until the guy broke everything and then he punked out. That's when Igor stepped up to the plate because he was the enforcer. He was the thug for everybody, for them. So there's that whole thing. So this whole moment where they went from place to place to place, was really kind of part of the movie. And I liked it because still there was that looming threat of the parents showing up.
Yes.
And what are they? I didn't know where the hell Vanya was at. I thought Vanya, again, was still running because he was fearful of his life and trying to protect himself more than his wife. You just don't leave the wife. So I'm waiting to hear what's going to happen with the parents. What's up with them? And they just kind of, not slow walked us, but use this moment to kind of get there. And really kind of almost, I wouldn't say they forced a relationship between Igor and them, Igor and her, but yeah, that's what we had a lot of. But I liked it. It was wild. It was a lot of crazy ass shit happening. And that's why I like this movie is wild as hell with some of the shit they're doing.
I had another question, but how did you feel about this part, Mike?
This was the worst part of the film for me. This is when I paused it and I just did some other shit and came back. So I was like, this is stupid. Man. I'm so glad I didn't see this in the theater because I would have been so aggravated. But these kinds of things, like they're hit or miss for me. These kind of like all these wacky situations. But like when they went and the car was getting towed and they're fighting with the tow truck driver and then he yanks the car off the thing and drives off. And I was like, man, this is like the fucking Hangover or something stupid, man. I don't want to see this. And the whole time they were like going around looking for Ivan, I was just like, I don't care anymore. Because y'all, this is like a fucking hour of y'all looking for this guy. And I'm not getting really any interesting interactions between them. I'm not getting any interesting conversations. The other guy that has the nose broken, he pukes in the car. And I'm like, why is he throwing up? It just didn't do anything for me. I was just like, all right, man, I need this to like, if you could do like YouTube and put them shots on 1.5, I would have done it. Because I was like, I don't care about any of this.
That's fair. That's fair. I was in it though at this point. I was just curious, and like Ken said, I was interested in this looming thing with the parents. So yeah, I was in it. I was in it. I didn't ask, but how did you guys feel about Igor? Was he kind of intriguing? Like, did you wonder like what was going on with him?
So I didn't get creeper vibes. So I got that was the thing. That was the other thing I didn't like about this. It was like, okay, Igor's falling in love with her. This is dumb, And like when he brought the scarf, I think she got mad because I think that scarf is what they used to gag her, isn't it?
I can't remember.
You're right. I think it was. Yep.
I think that's why she got so pissed off when he pulled it out. He's like, why did you bring that? Like, that's the thing you used to gag me earlier. Now you're trying to give it to me to keep me warm. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I liked Igor because it seemed like Igor was very innocent. And he did, I think he didn't want to be a part of this. Like, he didn't want to hurt her.
Right.
But I never got that he was a creeper. Because I saw people on Reddit were saying that he was giving creep vibes. I never thought that. I always thought, oh, this is going to end up being the like romantic kind of love interest at some point.
I think they started to remove that as the movie went on. For me, like early on when he showed interest in her and it seemed hitting on her. And when he was trying to tie her up with the telephone and that whole fight, the first fight before the guy came in, it made it seem like he was going to like rape her and stuff like that. So her fight, the way she was screaming, it felt like that's what they were going for, or giving that impression, which is why she said it at the end. And I was like, I don't think they would do that. I hope they wouldn't do that. And they didn't. He was legit just trying to tie her hands and keep her from fighting, which is why when he walked in and you remember how he was kind of stuck behind her while she was bent over on the couch. And that's why that guy was saying the things he was saying. It was like, this looks weird. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I never even got that he was hitting on her. I guess I must have missed it because I never got any of that. I got that he was just like,
he was looking.
I guess I didn't notice it. Okay.
Yeah.
Even she commented on it. I don't know if you remember that.
She did, but she would think that about any man. If you think about it, she's used to that situation. She probably views most men in that light of you're just looking at me because you're hitting on me or you want to fuck me. And because he did not want to have sex with her, that's why she kept calling him the F slur. So it did make sense that she would say that. I'm saying the fact that you guys saw that, I must have missed it.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe though. Yeah, that there was something there, some type of interest or like a deeper interest than what Vanya felt. Like he was he really was interested in her. Like he didn't have all the money and stuff, obviously, like Vanya, but he did. He can seem like he cared more about her well-being, even though he, was kind of apprehending her and stuff. But so the next day, the annulment is thrown out of court because Annie and Vanya got married in Nevada. So that kind of messed up that whole thing. And then at that point, the mom was just like, well, fuck that. We going to Vegas or whatever. So they end up going to Vegas. And then at the airport, we finally see the parents. And Annie tries to introduce herself to the parents, but they basically brushing her ass off. How did y'all feel when we finally met the parents and their interaction, them not wanting to have anything to do with Annie? How did y'all feel about that?
Well, I definitely expected that. I think Taurus was damn near speaking for the parents with how he was speaking about her in derogatory ways. So you already knew that they weren't going to be fucking with her because they only view her as a stripper, prostitute, or two of the words that they constantly called her. That's all she was to them. Nothing more, nothing less. And in part probably because this is their son and they know how their son is. Like, this is the privileged things that he does. He just goes off and does shit and makes our life, freaking hell because he's spoiled. And I guess as they said towards the end, he just hates, as she said, he hates the mom. The dad was interesting because it looked like he was just there. And he didn't want to be there, but he was dragged along. It definitely seemed like the mom was really controlling and running everything that was going on. And but I will say that I definitely was disappointed when they turned out to not be shit. So I was like, oh, they're just parents of a rich kid. Got it. Because remember when they showed up to the airport and the guy and they made it seem like, oh my God, these guys gonna get off this plane and there's gonna be some like he was standing there and the judge called him Camel Man or whatever, Camel Coat or whatever. I don't like the court scene either. By the way, and then they started to slowly zoom in on him and stuff like that. And it was just like, that's it. That's what y'all got for us. I built it up in my head, so it's my fault, but
no, it's not.
I mean, I think they did it. It's not your fault. I think they absolutely had, like you said, it was this looming thing that they just made it seem like. But I will say that does seem a bit scary when people are like just kind of quiet and they're not real like boisterous about stuff. Like they're not real rah or whatever it is. It's like, look, this ain't even like a situation. Sign these fucking papers. I'm not saying anything else. If you don't sign these papers, I'll end your fucking life. Like, that's a different level of rich to me. Like, well, I ain't got to say much. But I do feel like they could have did a little bit more with that. But I don't know. I just was at this point. I'm just accepting what they're giving me at this point. Mike, I see you shaking your head and you agree with Ken.
I disagree with Ken about. I don't think it's his fault that he built that up. They built it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I do understand why they didn't go that route because I think it would have been a bit obvious if the parents showed up and they were just like crazy, like the episode of Ozark when they get off the plane and the first thing, the chick walks up and bow and they shoot her in the head. That's what I was expecting. But I guess that would have been kind of obvious for like, oh, here's these Russians. Clearly they're crazy and they're just going to kill people. But still, this was probably the biggest disappointment of the movie because I wasn't impressed by either one of the parents, especially the dad.
Yeah, he didn't do nothing.
Look, he's just laughing and just stupid. So
it was really weird.
I wasn't impressed by the parent scene. I was pretty disappointed. But no, I do agree with you, Rod, that kind of quiet, calm, I'm not yelling is a different level of scary, which is why I can't remember the dude's name in Ozark that was running that operation. I forget his name, but he was like that. He was very calm. Didn't really raise his voice like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I looked at it because they were like that. They were trying to drive home the point, like, look, this is like, we just took this flight all the way here. And like, I really, like Ken, you were saying, I really don't want to be here. I can end you if I wanted to. So just sign the fucking papers. Like I don't think I needed much more than that. I feel like, I think it would have been nice if they did a little bit more, but I still was fine. I wasn't too disappointed, I think, like you guys were with what they gave us, because I just kind of filled in my own like thoughts of how they were. So anyway, at that, once they got there, Vanya was that he concedes to his parents and demands. At this point, you really see he was just like, well, this didn't work, so bye. It was just like, damn, like he really didn't care. He like it was one of those things. Like if he could have gotten away with it, he would have. But because he didn't, he was just like, oh well, it doesn't work. All right, Annie, nice knowing you. I'm getting on the plane with my parents, and Annie, having not signed a prenuptial agreement, she threatens to force Vanya through divorce proceedings, but Galena threatens to destroy her life. Like I said, recognizing Vanya's immaturity and his family's power, Annie agrees to the annulment. Because at that point, I think it kicked in. Like, damn, yeah, this ain't working out how I wanted it to. What did y'all take from that?
I like that she was putting up a fight. I hate that she conceded, but I also understand she didn't have the money to fight. But she definitely maybe would have been entitled to have, but she wouldn't have had the lawyer she needed to win that case. They probably would have dragged it out till she didn't have any more money unless somebody took it on to win the lawyer fees or whatever. But yeah, there was, I was somewhat disappointed, but it gave the confirmation that Vanya wasn't into her. Even when, I mean, we knew that as soon as, and she still was in denial, but as soon as he was at the strip club hitting on her friend, saying the same thing to her friend that he said to her, like, I love you and stuff like that. So, and he had completely forgot about her. And I felt like I wanted a little bit more from Vanya, and I don't think I got it. All I got was, oh, well, thank you for my great time here. And, oh, you didn't fucking get it. It never was real or whatever he said. And even still, she still was trying to hold on a little bit until she really realized. It was on the plane. She was like, damn, like, you really are a punk. Like, you're not that guy that I built up in my head that I thought you were. I do want to go back to the fight, though, when they finally fought, her and the girl in the club, and she got this scratch on her face.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, wrong one, bitch. But yeah, it was, again, him running away, and then it just being that was somewhat disappointing. I loved all of the antics leading up to that. Like, once you get here, and now we're on the tail end of the movie, and her, coming back to reality. Like, she got to go back to her real world, and how's she going to deal with this? So yeah, but yeah, that was about it.
Anything, Mike?
No, I agree. I was going to go back to the fight too, because I was like, if you don't fucking hit this girl, bro, if you don't fucking hit this girl, are we at the part where she has to actually sign the papers, or are you just asking about when they're fighting on the airplane, when they're like arguing or whatever?
We're at that part too. So after the papers are signed, Igor suggests that Vanya apologize to Annie, but his mom insists that her son will not apologize to anyone. So yeah, we kind of right at that moment.
So this part did piss me off, because I was like, I like Anora. I liked her throughout the whole film. I liked her character. I was like, yo, if you don't fucking bug out on the mom, if you don't do something, I was expecting her to throw a cup of water, just something.
Something, yeah. And
when she didn't, I was like, yo, that's crazy. Because you've been talking cash shit this whole movie. You broke this dude's nose. I don't see why. And then the dad was just sitting in the back laughing the whole time. I was just like, what is this scene? What is happening right now? And then when she busted back in the door, that's when I was like, oh, she about to knock mom in the fucking mouth. She should have at least just spit on her. And I'd have been happy. Just something. But all she did was throw the little scarf on the ground. Then she threw the little coat on the dude's head. Then she left. I was like, that's it, bro?
I agree. She was a very spirited fighter up until that moment. But thinking about it now, when her mom was like, I'll end your life, we could do this. She went back to a position of where she doesn't have power.
Right.
And, so I think that's why she didn't do anything. I would have loved it too. I thought she was, because she had been talking a lot of shit. She was hesitant to sign the divorce papers. I didn't think she was going to sign them. I thought she was going to walk off. But yeah, I do think she kind of went out a little weak. She could have at least slapped her or something. But maybe she realized that probably would have been worse off for her And she just resulted to just cursing her out. The dad, I felt like his laughing to me was, he been wanting to say that shit to them for so long.
Oh, is that what it is?
And he was just finally somebody was able to just get it off. So he was just happy to hear it. Because there really are no repercussions for her.
Yeah.
For Anora? Yeah.
Nah, for sure. All right, so we coming close to the end. Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. Maybe she didn't fight back that hard. Was she like? I'm trying to remember the movie now. Was she like emotionally broken at that point? You think that's why she didn't fight back?
Possibly.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember, she was telling Vanya when he was drunk. She was like, "Look, just tell your parents." And she really did believe this shit. We're in love, and they're gonna listen to you, and we'll be fine. Just stand up to them, man up. That's what she kept saying to him over and over again. He would never respond, and because he was drunk, she probably just took it as the fact that he was intoxicated. So that was another way for her to kind of live in this weird reality. Yeah. But then when she realized that there was no fight. And when she tried to fight one more time, and the mom was like, "You do this shit, it's over." And she was broken at that point. She was like, that's why she got on the plane and she was quiet for the most part.
Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe. Yeah, I'm actually kind of wondering if we just got it wrong. Maybe she didn't actually believe it. I don't know. It would have just made so much more sense if she never believed it, and she just kind of convinced herself that this was the case, so she could get that money and that lifestyle. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
Huh? Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think she convinced herself.
But she convinced herself. But I don't know. I guess I would have liked it more if she just never really believed it. If she was just like using him because she wanted to get out of that lifestyle.
That was the feeling that I got, that she did not want to go back to her world. She took a week off. She had $15,000. She's married. Everybody knows it at the strip club. And now she got to go back and be like, yo, I'm back. And it's just like everything is falling apart. And she didn't want to lose it.
See, I would buy all that as long as it wasn't like, I think he loves me. I would buy I don't know. I would buy all of that whole, like, I don't want to go back. This is my best chance at getting out of this lifestyle. I found this simp that's going to pay for everything. Except they kept giving little hints that she's actually believing it.
I feel you. And yeah, but it's like the girls at the club knew it was all like, this ain't gonna work. Yeah. Another one bites the dust kind of situation. Like, like, you think this dude gonna save you? He's not gonna save you, and if he does, it's only gonna be for a certain amount of time. But anyway, so like I said, we're getting close to the end. At this point, Igor takes Annie back to New York to pack up her belongings. They spend a final night in the mansion and make conversation. So they kind of start bonding a little bit here. And Annie argues that Igor assaulted her and would have raped her if they were alone, both of which he denies. And then in the morning, Igor gives Annie the money Toros promised her and drives her home. At this point, how y'all feeling about this exchange between her and Igor? What are y'all thinking at this moment?
Well, I didn't necessarily care. So I was afraid they were going to have sex at the house. I was like, please don't do this. Because, he had been the guy that was really into her and was really concerned about her well-being. And, he was like, I wouldn't have done that. What made you think that? Even though I got the same feeling that she got. He was just like, I'm not a rapist, which, okay, well, maybe we all misjudged him, in the beginning. And he wasn't really that guy that appeared he was when I was watching it, and that he really ultimately just saw her for who she is. And I understood her sleeping with him or having sex with him. I didn't like it, but I kind of think I understood what they were kind of going for when she started crying, because she did the one thing that she thought men wanted from her, and it was probably a way for her to pay him back for giving her the ring that she still wanted. It was a reminder of what she had, and it was all taken away. And this was the one thing that she had left, plus whatever money she got paid. And when he displayed true feelings of affection for her, when he tried to kiss her and she fought back violently and then just kind of gave in, I was like, oh, okay, here's a person that really, throughout the movie, as I thought back, saw her for who she is. Not a stripper, not a prostitute, but just some woman that he wanted to make sure that she was okay throughout the whole film. And it's the one thing that, given her, what she does as her job, and probably what she's done for her life, she's probably never really had that. Mike mentioned earlier she didn't have a father figure, so she's like, "Damn, is this what I've been missing, or whatever it could be?" So even though I don't like the fact that they had sex, I understood what I felt like they were going for when it ended.
Okay, yeah, I think they left because just to kind of close it out. They were in the car. He returns, and he also returns her wedding ring, which I thought was kind of cool too. And then, like you said, she initiates the sex with Igor, but he resists. Resists when he attempts to kiss her, and then she's down sobbing in his arms, and that's how they ended it. I think they left that ending pretty open-ended, like just kind of allowing us to interpret that how we would want to interpret it. Mike, how did you? Because I was interested to see how you guys interpreted that ending. What did you take away from that?
Well, I didn't take it as her giving in. I took it as, yes, she was trying to have sex with him because she realized that she had misjudged him the whole time. And then she saw that, oh, he is a good person. And that is the only way she knows how to thank men is with sex. So I actually thought the ending was the best part of the whole film. Not because it was ending, but because I thought that was such a powerful scene. I wish it was. To me, I wish the rest of the movie kind of matched the intensity of this moment. But I think that when he was like not really all the way wanting to do sex, but he tried to kiss her, a lot of sex workers will tell you that, mouth to mouth kissing is not really allowed because they see that as too intimate. And I don't even know that we saw her and Vanya kiss, now that I'm thinking about it. Outside of the wedding scene, I'm thinking like during the sex scenes, I don't think we saw them kiss. I think it was mostly like he was hitting it from the back quite a few times and she was riding him, but I don't think we saw them kiss. But I think that this moment was actually really, really, really powerful. And I think that this is when Mikey acted her ass off. When you see this moment where he's trying to get her to kiss and then she's like resisting and then she just bursts out crying. I was like, wow, I wish I liked this movie more than I did because that scene is great.
Yeah, I kind of looked at it as like initially her trying to regain the power that she lost throughout all of this chaos. And then just, what's the word I'm looking for? Submitting to it that maybe I don't have that power. Like it was her attempt to try to regain, like going back to what she knows. But then when she saw like he didn't really want that the same way guys in the club would want it, she was like, fuck. Like and just started breaking down. That's kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I hear you. I read that scene completely different. I think this was her breaking down. Because I mean, you would think for any other woman, I don't think it was about the fact that she's like, fuck, I don't have this power. I think it was, I just went through an emotional fucking roller coaster. Right. And the entire time I was playing hard, I'm screaming, I'm yelling, I'm cursing motherfuckers out. And now I'm just letting all of it out on this guy. So yeah, I took that scene differently. I think this was just her not being able to process what she just went through, and then realizing that, you know, she does. I don't know. Yeah.
See, I think both things happen. I think we're saying the same thing in that sense, but I do think it was a small moment of where she thought she could take it back. I think it was a very small moment where she was like, well, I'll just go back. This is what I know. And this is, like you said before, like, this is how I know to pay, to return or transactional. Cause he had just gave it a ring. He had showed her his love and affection. And I think in her mind, maybe she didn't want to fall back into that. She thought she wouldn't, but then she just kind of broke down and all the emotions came out like, fuck, you know, like, cause I think this whole time she never really cried or broke down like that until this very moment. Right. And I think that was, and I think that is from everything, getting so close to not having to live a certain lifestyle. Yeah. And then that's for that to be kind of stripped away from you. Like, I think, all of that emotion just came out.
Yeah, I just don't know what I saw. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I think Igor was kind of a good guy that was forced to do bad things because of how things work in Russia. He got out in the rain, carried her bags up, came back, and she was still trying to talk shit to him because she didn't want to believe that he was as good as he was coming across. And she was like, this car is so you. And he was like, well, do you like it? And she was like, no. And he was like, well, yeah, it's my grandmother's. And I think that was the moment where she was like, damn, like, this guy really comes across as sincere. And I definitely misjudged him throughout this whole time. Like, he's driving his grandmother car. I forgot what he said, but, you know, he comes across innocent. So I think I can see the getting the power back because she has to go through that world. And maybe this is her trying to get her head back in that space. But, you know, just some of the dialogue that took place was like, yeah, you're not as fucked up as I thought you were.
See, I guess the reason I don't see that is because she was using sex throughout the movie. It's not like she wasn't fucking Vanya. She was using sex the whole movie. Like, she was intertwined with it. But by this point, I don't know that she saw that as releasing power or taking power back. I think this is just how she thought that men wanted to be thanked. I think she thought that this is how men fall in love, by fucking women, because she doesn't understand intimacy. So that's why, I mean, the guy was nice to her. The first thing she does is, I'm going to climb on top of you and give you a lap dance. And then she's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and fuck you because you were nice to me. It worked with what's his face, Vanya, until it didn't. I don't know. I think this last scene was really, really, really well done. I guess I just didn't get the taking the power back aspect that y'all are getting.
I think it was a quick moment of power.
Yeah, I was just saying that I could see Rod's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, Ken said he's not agreeing with your whack ass point. He's just saying how you saw it.
Well, I had a whole.
I'm saying this.
I'm joking. I'm kidding.
I know.
I'm saying this.
It was so funny.
I'm saying the same thing y'all saying. Ultimately, that it was like she let the emotions out, but I just think it was a slight moment of like she thought she probably could control it and she just couldn't. That's usually what happens when people break down like that. They try to be tough, and they try to. It's like that last fight before they actually break down. I think that's what happened to her. And it really came out. It's like when you try to really fight it so hard, it's going to come out that much more. And I feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, we don't have to harp. We're not saying the same thing. I get your point. I do get your point. I'm not saying I was joking about saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I see it a little bit differently, but it's not like drastically different.
Yeah, it's not drastically different, is all I'm saying. But yeah, no, I thought it was a powerful ending too. Like I said, man, I enjoyed the movie. I don't always need like a huge plot in a movie. Like I like movies that's kind of loose like this. I love a good plot. Don't get me wrong, but I also like movies like that that's kind of loose in story or whatnot. So yeah, man, I for the most part really enjoyed it. It just really caught me off guard. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. So no, I like it, man. I like the story that they gave us. They could have did a couple things differently, but I thought it was pretty solid, personally.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It had elements that I like. You know, I'm not a rom-com guy or a love story guy, which is why the first act to me, when they were setting everything up for the second and third parts, I was like, I need to get out of here. And I thought I was going to put shit on it. But the whole middle section with the comedic parts and the wild adventure and the mess that ensued, I enjoy it. And then I think it was a weird way they bookended this whole movie, by bringing it back down to a different sort of tone to conclude it. But I'm with you guys. I do enjoy, I enjoyed the ending. I think the ending and the way they did it really was satisfactory to me. Because, there's, the saying, we joke, we never plan. Like, it was a lot of clowning and serious moments in it. But life is serious and life is real, and you can't escape that. Yeah. And at some point, you're going to have to come back to the reality of the world you're in and deal with it. So I thought the ending was powerful as well.
Yeah, I don't dislike this movie. I don't think it was bad. It's definitely, out of the three of his films that I've seen, this is at the bottom for me. I like his other filming style way better. I also think that, this is getting a lot of hype. I don't personally think it lived up to it. I think from an acting standpoint, it did. I do not think from a filming and story standpoint, it did at all. But I think that that's going to be, how it goes when people are like, oh, this is the best movie of the year. And then they get like one dissenting opinion. That's not even saying it's bad. They're just not saying it's the best movie of the year. I can already hear it. They're going to freak out and say, you're crazy, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. I do think that this might be a situation of they got bit by the hype train bug. This doesn't give me movie of the year vibes. It might give me performance of the year from Mikey, but movie of the year from a filming and a script standpoint, nah. Beautifully filmed, but a 2.5 hour long movie with nah. If you chop out that whole middle section, I might be with you, but
okay.
What?
Last thing, did y'all get, because Rod, you mentioned the movie, did you get Zola vibes at all?
Yeah.
I got some Zola vibes too. So yeah, I think Zola's probably a lot more accurate than Uncut Gems. Yeah, I think, that's a good comparison, Ken. I think that's a lot more accurate. And I love Zola. So
that's what I thought you were going to say earlier when you said Uncut Gems. It definitely gave me Zola vibes, but I found Zola to be more entertaining, honestly. I just think this had better acting.
I think Zola was funnier. I think I didn't reference Zola because I didn't find it as funny as I did Zola. Like,
sure.
Zola was a lot more funny than Annie, in my opinion. Annie was just shock value for me. Like, I was like, I spend my time saying, "Oh shit," more so than like, "Ha ha ha."
And last question: do you think, Mike and Rod, that the movie of the year vibe has anything to do with the sex worker aspects of the film?
Yes, I do. I think that people are very happy, and I am too, that he humanizes sex workers because, we didn't touch on this, but the whole point that she is so offended about being called a prostitute. when that is quite literally what you're doing is prostitution. I found that to be really interesting because I would understand why she would take that as some sort of slur because it's looking down on her for what she's doing. And, you know, they made a point early in the film when she's dancing on this guy and the guy is like, you know, how does your family, you know, feel about you doing this? And she's like, how does your family think about you being here? Which is a question that men never think about. They're always like, oh, where's her dad? These women have no fathers. Bitch, you're in the fucking club giving them money. So how are you any better? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you looking down on them? So I did really like that. And he is amazing at doing this, at humanizing sex workers, humanizing people that society looks down on. So yeah, I do think that they're going to look at this and it's going to be the To Pimp a Butterfly effect, where it's going to be a bunch of like people that are like, well, this is about this amazing subject, so therefore it must be the best thing ever made.
Yeah,
you know, and if they really think that, that's cool. I'm not knocking anybody's opinion. It's just, I don't know.
And then the other thing is just her. There was conversation about names and Annie versus Anora, and her putting on a different identity from who she was. There was that whole thing that was brought up here and there, especially towards the end when they were Igor and they were having that conversation. She was like, "Oh well, that's not important here in the U.S." So, and sometimes they have to. I think Mike, around when you guys mentioned roles and being different people in and outside. So,
and they have to do that. Like I've told you about the woman I dated that used to be a stripper. I mean, she was like, they all have these stage names for a reason. And I never thought about it that hard until she explained. She's like, you're putting on a mask when you're up there. And I jokingly just once, I jokingly called her by the stage name and she got so fucking mad. So, and I was like, why are you getting so mad? Until I thought about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, they're not looking at this as like, this is me as a person. This is just what I do. Like, you don't always want to be referred to as Mr. Right the camera guy. That's not you. You're Rod, right? Yeah. So I see why they would want that separate. But I do think the movie did that very, very well. We didn't touch on that very much, but I do think the movie did that very, very well.
Cool.
So I'm glad you brought that up, Ken. That's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool, man. Yeah, this was cool. I'm glad we did get around to reviewing it because I did, like I said, like it. And I heard that people was talking about it. I just didn't know what they were actually saying because I'm not in Reddit like that. But I have seen positive things said about the movie. But yeah, man, thank y'all for tuning in to another Frames Per Second review. And hope you guys enjoyed this giving back, I guess, for lack of better terms, of stuff that we didn't kind of touch on and that y'all wanted us to touch on. It was fun to kind of touch on some extra little things for you guys. So we plan to do kind of more of that going into next year. Definitely. So that definitely be on the lookout for that. Definitely consider becoming a Patreon supporter as well, because like I said, we're going to do a lot better in the coming year on things like this. So. Again, that's us on an Anora review, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
The Frames Per Second podcast.